All right, welcome to the Mural Imagine series. My name's Mark Tippin. I'm the head of LX with Mural, and I'm very honored and excited to be talking today with Howard Esbin, co-founder of 5x5 Teams. Welcome, Howard.
Thank you so much, Mark.
We've been working together for a number of years now, and I'm very excited to talk about virtual team performance. And there's a program and technology that you've been developing for some time that we've been using at Mural. So there's a bigger conversation about virtual team performance and virtual team performance, but then also we'll share a little bit about a way teams can gain insight holistically as an individual and then holistically as a team, specifically virtual teams, right? You and I have worked remotely for quite a while. And even before that, before we knew of each other, largely our careers have been done at a distance. You're based in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tell us a little bit about your team and your organization and its distributed nature.
Exactly. We're a virtual enterprise. We're working with a core team in Germany, the States. I'm in Canada, and we have a community of practice that's worldwide, people working with our resource and that are contributing and helping develop it.
Yeah, when I think about, I have deep empathy for people since recent events and the pandemic. Um, they're suddenly having to train a set of skills and ways of being in a co-located office environment with the good and bad, the politics and the ease of communication and camaraderie, the good and bad of all that. And their experience has been traded in for this, a cup of coffee and endless Zoom meetings, um, and and I find it so interesting when we're looking at how we can invent a future and really how core imagination is the conversation we'll have today. How we still persist, right, with the current state and the mentality is still, in this format, right here. Storm, norm, and perform is kind of the catch-all phrase. These are some words that I've come to know since working with you, and I'd love to hear a little bit about your perspective about where does this come from? This.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question, and a good comparison. Teaming has been called a 21st century sport, and that nothing can get done without teams today. And yet, the research shows that there's a lot of gap between the expectation of what a team can do and the actual reality. And in certain cultures, organizational cultures, practice is essential to teaming, but not in project management. There's an expectation of project management that our professional skills are such that here's the task, you're cross-functional, get on with it. And we're finding, again, through a lot of research and certainly anecdotal practical experience, that the research is showing that the best time to create authentic team relationships is at the beginning, at formation. And the idea of tuning people up emotionally and cognitively so that essentially the work that we do allows them that space, just a little carved out space where they can get to know each other, get to know their assets, their strengths, practice actually being a team, just the way a sports team gets out on the pitch and kicks the ball around and practices offense and defense before the game, so that when they're ready to compete and ready to perform, they've got a bit of, foundation and a kind of a concurrence, a kind of cohesion that otherwise you would never get. And that's why storming is so typical for new teams. And we want to kind of bridge that gap a little bit.
This next slide is actually an artifact. If people were to do the 20-minute self-assessment, what are we looking at here?
Right. The digital badge, the star that you're looking at, is a symbolic way for somebody to understand the totality of their strengths holistically in a positive light. each of the colors in the arms and legs of this star, the blue, the green, the yellow and red, signify a particular strength that that person has. And it's ordered to read clockwise from 3 o'clock round to the red at 9 o'clock. Those are the basic strengths, and they are dependent, as you see in the pie chart, dependent on how the person sees themselves and how they approach life and situations. The the apex, though, is associated with a fifth strength that everybody has, and it's a kind of somewhat unused strength and undiscovered strength. And we associate that with imagination. The blue is associated in your schema with a feeling, empathy. The green is about thinking, strategy, big picture. Yellow is about planning and method and methodology. These are things that we're all doing every single day, and the red is about acting. And there's no pejorative nature here. They're all strengths, just different degrees of strengths, if you will. And the one at 3 o'clock, the blue, is a kind of our default strength that we typically work with. And if you think about the outline of the star, and you think about Da Vinci's famous Vitruvian Man, you can look at the star and see that it forms the same outline as a person with outstretched arms and outstretched legs. And so what we like to say is the four basic strengths are your arms and your legs to allow you to get to where you want to go, but the apex associated with the brain is the imagination and what can you do with your strengths based on your vision and your creativity and your imagination.
And you yourself, you were just telling me the other day that in recent assessments, you've seen a shift, right? In your
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is not a typical assessment that fixes you or tells you who you are or engraves you in stone forever.
I wanted to pivot to, the going through the assessment, and I want to be careful. This isn't necessarily an ad for one thing or another, but
No.
at Mural, we've embraced this technology, and I want to express the way that it plugs into team performance, virtual team performance, and that with a very small investment and one that actually scales very well. I like to talk about these as that they're the ingredients for insight. It doesn't tell me anything. I look at it and I have an opportunity to actually make sense out of it. And the next slide, I love this because we're going to transition from, okay, great. So I'm a little more aware about myself, but how does this scale? And I wanted to pause for a second, let people just kind of see this. We're actually looking at two different teams, right? And I don't know the names. I don't know what industries they're in, but because I understand the color scheme very quickly, I can say Team A is very much, I mean, everyone is an intuition, a feeling, empathetic. That is kind of their default skill set or tools that where their tendency to deal with it. And then we've got some red action, a little bit of plan, a little bit of think. And in the second team, we've got a lot of people that are kind of thinkers, mostly a couple planners, some intuition, but action is completely polarized in not that it doesn't exist at all, but it's certainly not a default mode for this team. I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit about the stories behind these two teams?
Right. And the idea of transitioning from I understand myself and I understand my strengths better now, and my teammates understand my strengths better because we've shared them through a storytelling exercise. But when we come to the team and we talked about the team having an identity, a center of gravity, if you will, this is a very quick way for the team to be able to diagnose itself. Again, what we're trying to train in is distributed leadership, that everybody owns the strengths collectively, how diverse they might be. And the first, these are two different companies, two different teams doing two different functions at two different stages of, their evolution as teams. In the first instance, that's a team of evangelists or customer client support folks. And it's a perfect alignment of their strengths. And again, the whole idea here is when the team sees this in the exercise, it's up to them to interpret it for themselves. We're not telling them what it is. And they were able to say, you know, we are highly empathic. We really like to work with people, but our job also, and this is where you see that secondary strength of red in preponderance, is that we have to make things happen. We have to solve problems. We can't just empathize with the client. We have to make them feel good and we've solved their problem. And so that's a wonderful representation of an effective team. The second team, different company, technology company, a relative startup. The team lead is the chap in the third quadrant, red to the right.
Two, three,
And
four, six person down in the second
yes,
team,
or
right?
third
Yeah.
person up if you're
Up.
reading it
Yeah, there you go.
bottom from
Yep.
bottom up. And they're the person who hired this team. And there's such an imbalance here because essentially what we saw through their dysfunction was that imbalance, and it was unconscious on top of it. So this can be in that first session we work with a team, and they've done this within less than a half an hour, 45 minutes. Not only are they able to read this for themselves, but they're also now able to think about what course correction they may adopt to deal with that imbalance. Otherwise, the project ahead is going to be skewed in some way where tasks and deliverables and strengths and individual are not in alignment, and we want to help them get aligned.
Here you can see from our own internal Slack, all of the permutations of the iStar became emojis in the system. And now people are using them next to their names so that even when you're starting these casual conversations, we have the context now, the shorthand instantly. I just know, oh my gosh, if this person's keynote is red, I better cut down on my loquaciousness, on my talkative, and I need to kind of be mindful. And we attenuate to each other, and we actually speak into the listening of each other, which is in it, and it's not, we're not playing or we're not being false. We're being respectful because we're now acknowledging that we're different, and that's okay. And your strength is not my weakness. Your strength is our strength, and so let me let me bend to you let me leverage my empathy as a blue to bend to you as red, and let me not make you wrong if you come at me as a red and you're just trying to get your answers, because I can appreciate you're trying to get stuff done, and that's something, so it's just been so interesting to see how this has been absorbed. Some people are wondering, okay, so there's this online thing we do. Where's Mural come into play? Well, there's this visual aspect, and again, the thing, we have templates like this that actually allow people to do an individual exercise and create their own, what we say, I tag, and then from an individual into a team, you create your we tag. What are the unique strengths of the team that are made up of individuals?
There's so much research, and certainly my doctoral research, which led to this, about when you use words and images together, it really creates a full neurosynaptic, experience, and it deepens the level of emotional engagement. Yes, a lot of us are very text verbal based, but when you bring that fuller measure of expression visually into communication and expression, um, intuitively people get it. It's a felt thing rather than a thought thing. And what we want to try to do working virtually, where you have a cross-functional, cross-cultural, cross-generational team that are not going to meet, that have really important work to do, how can you get to we as easily, as intuitively, as creatively as possible? And visual communication and creative process and storytelling, when you harness it all together as we do within a mural framework and experience, it's kind of the pièce de résistance, because the fact is that the entire premise of Mural is about empowering and harnessing that shared imagination capacity.
Just the foundational aspect of this, like there is, this is something that sets up for success no matter what the team. I love the general applicability of this. So there are opportunities for the imagination worker. That's the foundation of what we believe at Mural. Imagine what's possible as opposed to continually trying to dredge the past and recreate kind of these dysfunctional patterns just in the latest technology. I want to ask you.
We have a complete training program. It's very intuitive, it's very compact, it's very simple. It can be done in tandem with Mural. And basically, if anybody is interested, they can just check out our website, 5x5teams.com, drop us a line at info5x5teams.com, and we're pretty responsive. And the community of practice is growing, and we're very fortunate that we're working with facilitators who are certified in DISC and MBTI, as well as Agile and Kanban and Scrum, plus are what we like to call muralistas. So anybody who fits any of those boxes, please get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, and I'd also like to mention that I believe this fall we've got some very interesting a new book that really unpacks the history of humans and their relationship, their love-hate relationship with the imagination. Is it sacred or profane? is and then also workshops and other types of things. That will
All
be
mural centered.
all mural centered, and yeah.
So again, for the audience that loves mural and is looking for a fast, intuitive way to prelude the work they're going to do as a team, the small time carved out is a great investment, and it's a very transformative experience. So again, Mark, thank you so much. We love working with the folks at Mural.
Yeah, well, thank you too, Howard. It's been a personal growth journey myself to actually now have language for things that I knew intuitively, and knowing myself and our teams have benefited, and Mural has benefited. So, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching, and uh, follow links and things elsewhere on this page for more information. And again, thank you very much, Howard.